Hey, what's going on? We are back. It is the ManFUzed Podcast. Kay Lee here, audio producer, voice artist, host. My co-host, Ben H.
What's up, everybody?
What is the biggest fuck up in your relationship that landed you outside of cheating?
Yeah.
In the doghouse. Ben H is going to give us details about maybe what landed him in a doghouse.
Oh, man.
Your trip to Tahoe. You were gone for 6 days. I saw snowboarding. I saw your son snowboarding. It looked beautiful. The powder, the videos you sent me.
It was nuts.
The powder looked thick. So give me the rundown.
Well, first of all, as we've discussed, dedicated my life to snowboarding probably until my late 20s, from the time I was 13 years old. So probably 15 years of just obsessing and going and chasing powder as my primary want and need. So it's been a while, a couple years. I got a buddy who's ski patrol out in Jackson Hole, and I went and rode with him just before COVID. Other than that, we took Jack to North Carolina, which is like a freaking hill compared to big mountain riding.
Are you referencing Boone?
Boone up at Beach Mountain. It's a perfect place for a kid to learn. I'm a guy who typically is going to ride 3 or 4 times a year. First time in 2 years, which for me is incredibly...
It's very sad.
Well, I've been very busy. I'm a family man now. And so honestly, it's not as pressing as it used to be. Really why I haven't gone. To reconnect with myself in that way was, one word, epic. That's the first thing. My passion has been reignited. My soul has been re-excited.
Yes.
And I'm powder hungry.
Yeah, right. And we're not talking about cocaine.
No.
We're not talking about booger sugar.
No, white is the pure driven snow, baby.
You connected with the outdoors.
Oh.
You introduced your son to it in a bigger way because Tahoe, like you said, Boone is a hill compared to Tahoe.
When he was 3.5, we took him to Boone. And he rode well for a 3.5-year-old because he's just a wild kid. He's just a wild boy. It was the realization of a real kind of father goal, something you want to leave your kid with.
Something, that memory of you doing it together.
That skill, like helping him develop that skill.
Right.
One of the things I realized for myself when I was there is that this was a gift that I had given to myself in my younger life.
Gotcha.
And I realized that there was this gap between my younger life and where I am now, where I've gotten married and created a family. And so I kind of saw this separation of kind of who I was then and who I am now.
Church and state.
Yeah. And I realized that, wow, I'm really grateful to myself that I took the time and followed that passion.
Right.
Because now I have access to this skill for the rest of my life.
Right.
I don't have to be a new guy out there learning. Okay.
That would be me. I didn't give myself that gift.
That's what I'm saying. And a lot of people didn't, because when you're out there on the mountain, you see them all. Most people are not bombing.
Of pussies, a bunch of newbies.
Well, it's I know. When you look at it, you go, man, I remember what it was like to be there. And it was awesome. Jack did incredible.
I saw him. He looked good.
He's fucking bombing, dude.
Yeah, he looked good.
Yeah, and we got to ride together. Jen skied.
She doesn't snowboard?
Well, she's kind of in between.
Okay.
She's done snowboarding the past couple times we've gone. Over the last 10 years, she's probably tried like 3 times. Snowboarding, for anyone, the saying is that snowboarding is incredibly difficult to learn, but once it clicks, easier to progress.
Gotcha.
Whereas skiing is much easier and much more natural to learn how to do, but more difficult to progress to the next level.
Gotcha. Okay. I've never skied either.
Okay, so in that case, my recommendation to you
snowboard
would be to ski.
Oh.
Now, you want to snowboard. I understand that. And I will say this. There was a case, one time I've seen this, and I've tried to teach a lot of people how to snowboard. One time I've seen it. Most cases, it's just the natural progression of how many times you're going to have to eat shit until it clicks in your mind what you have to do. My boy, Andreas Zivic.
Ooh.
Sergeant Zivic.
Sergeant Zivic.
Shout out to Sergeant Zivic. Sergeant first class. He may have been a master sergeant. I think he ended up as a command sergeant major. This guy's a badass in the field.
Okay.
Badass, great guy. I took him to Switzerland, Austria one time.
Okay.
He's like, hey, you got an extra snowboard? I want to go with you this weekend. I'm like a private. He's a sergeant first class. I'm like, sure, sergeant. I got a snowboard. You want to roll with me? Yeah. He's like, you're not supposed to be leaving base without a pass. I'm like, well, I'm not getting a pass. So, He's like, fuck it, I'll go with you. You know what I mean? So,
I'm your pass.
Yeah. This guy, long story short, I'm like, you going to get a lesson? He's like, no, just take me to the top. I'm like, what are you going to do? He's like, I'm just going to watch you. I said, okay. So we get to the top of the fucking mountain, Austria, Alps, crazy shit.
You're high.
13,000 feet, whatever. He sits up at the top. All right, let me watch you go down for a minute. So I'm like, all right, here's what you want to do. But he's like, dude, you don't need that. Just ride. So I got up and I started riding, and I look behind me and he's there. And he rode with me behind me all day long and barely fell.
That's a man who knows his strengths.
My mind was
He
blown.
was like, I just need to see you do it. I got it.
Yeah, and I thought he was going to watch me go down the mountain. No. He had actually gotten up.
He watched you for about 10 seconds, and then he's like,
I'm just going to mimic what you're doing. And he did.
It's a skilled dude right there.
Wild.
There's a reason why he's a commander, sergeant, major,
No,
general.
He's a badass. Okay, Tahoe. Jen's uncle, Jen's aunt, Jen's mother, Jen's father-in-law, 2 cousins that were sons of the aunt and uncle. They all spent Thanksgiving with us when we had 13 people for Thanksgiving. Same crew. Jen's brother's wife. So it was a great time to connect with family. The house we stayed at, bro, was insane.
The pictures I saw with the view, I was like, holy shit.
You're looking out over Lake Tahoe and the mountains behind it, sunrise, sunset, pink, blue sky with stars and the moon over the lake.
They were dropping coin on that house
at
at night.
Snow.
That shit was expensive.
It's on the market for $6.9. Ridiculous, bro. Indoor pool, indoor hot tub, 7 bedrooms, multiple levels. Weird, confusing, get lost. We drove through a blizzard. Jen and I got to ride together. It was just fucking dope.
One of the things that you had said when I first texted you, because I figured you were back, and I said, how was it? A nightmare scenario. But then you followed up with, it was awesome. Snowboarding was awesome.
Yeah.
Tahoe was awesome. And then you left me kind of hanging the remainder of the day until you called me later on, and you let me know, once you get to Tahoe, it's all cool, but traveling to Tahoe, bit of a nightmare because from what you know, there's no direct flight. You've got to do a layover.
12-hour thing from the time you leave your house to the time you get to the house you're going to. It's 12 hours.
So I'm thinking to myself, okay, so you said you had 5 days of snowboarding. Your body was beat. Y'all were exhausted, 12-hour travel. You're ready to get home.
Through the airport.
You said you got off the plane. You had to drive your brother-in-law to their house. And
her dad was watching Bailey, picked up Bailey, our dog.
It's late at night. You are having to drive out of your way to drop them off. You get your
dog. Our plane landed at 12:30. So
tell me how you felt at this moment. You're exhausted.
We were exhausted, but we were so glad to be. We're nearing our home, and we pull in the driveway, and we put the car in park, and it was just awesome, dude. Just so happy to be home. Dog's in the back. Jack's in the back.
Is he sleeping?
No, it's like 1 a.m, wide awake. So as I normally do, I hit the garage door opener and nothing happened.
Oh. How many times did you click it? Like 4?
A couple times, 3 or 4 times I clicked it. So it's like, shoot, so there's a code. So I got out and I went and I opened the thing and I did the code. The code thing lit up. So I was like, oh, cool. And then the code didn't work. I intrinsically knew at that moment what had happened.
What did you do?
Access to the home is really the most important aspect. My next step was to get the key to the house because the garage door wasn't open and open the door, right? I'm a strange bird in many ways. I don't carry a house key.
I don't either.
I'm a hidden key kind of a man, but my wife having a hidden key makes her anxious.
Oh, does it?
Yeah. She doesn't like the idea that there's
a key
anywhere around the house.
Hidden on your 2 acres.
She's off that. Now that I look back on it, I probably should have one anyways and just make
not
it
tell
a really
her.
Weird place.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm not putting that on her,
Right, of course not.
I go, hey, do you have your key? Because my wife does roll with the key. No, it's inside. Why would I have my key? I'm not driving. I'm in the Tahoe. Why? What do you need? You don't have your key? I don't carry a key. It was detrimental to our situation because I knew the house was properly locked up. And there ain't no way of getting in my house when it's properly locked up.
Unless you're breaking a window.
You're breaking a window. And so I was walking around the house and I knew in my heart that not only did I not have a key, I was inclined to believe that I also didn't have any electricity. which was the reason the garage door wouldn't open.
Because the keypad that you were pressing is on a battery.
Exactly.
And not connected to power.
That's what the thing that made me realize as I was walking around the house checking the locks. I was like, maybe a window's unlocked. Garage door doesn't have the deadbolt lock. I can break in then. And as I round the house, Kaylee, and I head toward the front door, I noticed something hanging from the front door handle.
Ooh.
A door hanger.
Of death.
Disconnect notice.
Dated when?
January 31st.
Is that the day you left?
The day we left. We returned on February 6th.
Oh, no. You're like, what the fuck?
So at this point, now I have confirmation we don't have electricity and we don't have a lock. It's about 2 a.m. now.
And your
it's
wife,
cold.
And is she wondering what's
going on? We hadn't had a discussion because remember, I'm walking around the house, taking my time, trying to figure out how to get my family in our home. I knew even if we didn't have electricity, I've got gas fireplaces, I could heat the home and at least we could sleep in a bed and shelter.
You're going to have to explain to your wife as to why the power.
Right. And I'd kind of put that in the back of my mind. But as soon as I saw that notice, I pulled up the power bill. It was my first step, right? Because my neighbors all had power. So
Street's not out.
The street lights aren't out. So as it turns out, Kaylee, I had a little fraud on my credit card back in November.
Sorry, I hated to do that to you.
Yeah. Like a course, real estate coaching. Something I signed up for a year.
Oh, and they kept renewing
it. They hit me to renew it. And I was like, no, bro. So anyways, I filed the fraud. I had to change the number on my card. I contacted most, but for whatever reason, and it's 100% my fault, I did not change my card with the electric company. So I didn't even think about it because I just throw money at the card. $870 with a $265 reconnection fee.
There's a G right there.
3 months, reconnection fee. I don't have any dispute here.
I need my power on.
Pay it. Boom.
Right
I paid
there.
it right then. Next, so I paid it. Bam. All right, it's paid.
Is this before you go back to the car?
Before I went back to the car. Paid. Second step, because I'm a solution man.
Right.
I don't bring problems. I bring problems and solutions.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I bring fixed problems.
Yeah, exactly. Next step, locksmith. Got 2 on the line. One of them called back. $100 deposit. Booked it. He's in South Atlanta. He's on the way. 40-minute drive.
Now, you're still not in the car. Is she not like opening the door going, what the hell is going on?
It was freezing cold. So what I told her is I said, look, I don't know what's going on with the garage. I'm going to walk around the house and try to find a way in. As far as they were concerned, that's what I was doing.
You were working on the solution.
I was working on the solution. The truck was still running. Dogs in the truck. Kids in the truck. Wife's in the truck.
She's like, I'm home. I want to go inside.
Oh, I can camp in the woods. Different for your wife.
Oh, she doesn't want to camp.
No, I'm just saying I wouldn't be camping. But I'm just saying getting home is a whole different shade of lovely for my wife than it is for me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, it's nice for me.
Right. But at the same time,
I'll sleep in the truck. Like, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like,
totally. Shit, you could have called because we're right down the street. And in the worst case, you could have said, hey, dude, something happened. We need to come over.
That was on the table.
Okay. In my mind, in the back of my mind.
That was step 3.
Okay. That was solution number 3.
Solution number 3 was to blow you up at 2:30.
Yeah, more than welcome anytime.
You would have been getting up anyways. But as the saga continues, now I've booked the locksmith, I've paid the electric bill, and it's time to disclose to everyone why
we are out here.
We are out here.
Okay. All right. So you get back in the car.
Yep.
Do you have the
truck.
disconnect, the truck? Did the disconnect slip in your hand or do you have that hidden?
I had it in my pocket.
Okay.
Okay. Now, as I get back in the car, my wife, who's very sharp, she goes, so what's going on? And I was like, well, I don't have a key. And she said, yeah, but why is the garage door not working? And I said, well, she was like, did you check the front door for something? Is there something on the front door? What? And I said, yeah, there was something on the front door.
Are you making her dig?
And I said, listen, the reason that the garage door is not working is because we don't have electricity right now in our home. And she goes, well, what was that on the front door? And I said, it was a disconnection notice from the electric company. And she said, well, that's interesting because I just checked our Ring, which she has on her phone.
Oh, while you were doing your thing.
While I was out there, she was looking at the Ring doorbell and saw the electric company guy banging on the door, ringing the doorbell to let us know that, hey, I'm getting ready to clip.
This is the last thing our ring saw.
Yeah, that's right. And it was the last ring.
So she already knew.
She had an inclination
that this was the problem.
Disclosed what happened, and
how did that go over?
It wasn't good, dude. She was pretty pissed.
Right.
Rightly so. You know, I don't necessarily fault her for being pissed. It was not fun. But it wasn't fun that we were stuck outside in the cold either. What is it they say? Ignorance isn't a lack of guilt.
Yeah, exactly.
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. You can be ignorant and guilty.
Yeah, just because you're ignorant doesn't mean you're not in deep shit.
Yeah, doesn't mean you're not being charged.
That's right, exactly.
And in your wife's case, you're being charged on that what the fuck you've done.
Triple homicide.
Yeah, basically. Oh, so you can't handle paying the bills now.
Bro,
so we need to take that off your plate because apparently you're not capable.
You know, honestly, it is something that I need taken off my plate. She's very organized, and I think she'll do a great job at it. So I think we are working toward that transition
of responsibility.
Of responsibility, because honestly, it's not a good place for me, and it's something that she's naturally fit.
Well,
for.
but you, like you said though, in a typical, if the fraud wouldn't have happened, you have it on auto pay, right?
Right.
Like,
that's
so
right.
that
everything is set up.
Right. Yeah. So, you know, this was kind of a one. I mean, that. Like, if I get a new card that has a new number, I'm like, oh, the nightmare of having to go on every streaming service, every subscription you have to update your info.
Right.
And I'll never get them all.
Right.
Well, I'll get a notice from somebody that something's not going through because I'm like, oh, I forgot to add that.
And I'm on paperless billing.
Of course.
And
because you save the trees, you're saving the environment.
And they had my past company's email address.
Ooh. Because I said to you, well, you're like, why didn't they call? And I'm like, yeah, why didn't they send you an email? And you're like, well, they did. A lot of them.
A lot.
But to the wrong address.
To the wrong address.
So what happens now? Now she knows you're feeling the pressure. We need to get inside. Locksmiths are on the way.
I'm back outside of the car now. Exited the vehicle calmly. I mean, I literally didn't say anything. I just completely took it. You know what I mean? Because
it's your fault. At the end of the day, it was your, it's your deal.
It is what it is. So anyway, I was like, look, I'm going to get out of the car and I'm going to check in on the locksmith. So I called the locksmith. He's like, yeah, I'm like 20, 30 minutes out. I'm like, all right, cool. He's like, yeah, dude, I'm almost there. So I pulled the truck around to the front of the house. I was over on the side. The way my house is, like over on the side is the garage, the left side. And then there's kind of an area where you can pull around the front. I pull around the front because I figure that's where the locksmith is going to get us in. And about 10 minutes after I did that, I see a pickup truck pulling in to my driveway and pulled up to the back of the house. And I was like, awesome, locksmith is here. Boom, we're about to get in the house. Well, it was the electric company.
Now that's some fast service right there.
Dude, the guy who clipped us was like, man, I had no choice but to clip you guys. I didn't want to do it because I figured it was something weird with what happened. And he's like, yeah, that's exactly what I figured. He said, also, I could tell you guys were out of town.
Well, that's kind of scary.
You know,
how could he tell that you were out of town?
He just, I guess, how we didn't answer the ring and like he was there. I guess he was there for a little while.
Well, you must have been on the plane when the ring was clicking.
Yeah, absolutely. We would have been on the plane.
But wouldn't you, even when you landed, wouldn't those notifications pop through like to one of y'all's phones?
Well, it only goes to Jennifer's phone, but maybe she didn't have the notifications on. That's besides the point.
It's your fault. I could have handled this same day from across the country. Anyway.
It was the electric company. The guy was like, yeah, dude, I put it on high alert so that whenever you guys paid, I would be notified. And he said, when I saw you paid.
He got notified.
I was notified and I saw what time it was and I know it's cold outside. So I grabbed my guy who was on duty and I came out here.
He could have easily gotten alerted and looked at it and go, tomorrow morning.
Oh, couldn't believe it.
So when you paid the bill, did it give you any notification of like a window of when your power was going to be restored?
No, it just said we'll get it reconnected as soon as possible. But you know how that is, dude. It's 2 days typically.
Or
typically,
even next
you're
day.
Lucky if you can get it next day. That's like, thank God. I was truly blown away grateful, surprised. Best customer experience I've ever had in my life. By
You
far.
want to give him a shout out?
Shout out to Sawney Electric.
Yeah.
And
EMC,
my boy.
right?
Yeah, Sawney EMC. Let
Hey,
me tell
buddy, if my wife wasn't here, I'd give you a reach around right now. If my wife and kid weren't in the car, I would please you.
Oh, it was a blessing.
Wow.
It was a blessing from God because that allowed the garage door to open and then the lights to turn and then
Open sesame.
problem solved, except we've got 3 refrigerators
Oh.
and freezers full of wonderful food. Curated collection of food because I love to cook.
Meats and cheeses. and
Fucking 7 days.
Did it smell when you walked in?
Not bad, honestly. Not bad. And much of it was still cold. Shout out to Sub-Zero. You know what I'm saying?
But the meat, but it was not salvageable.
But it was not salvageable.
Now, did you have any of the meats that started bleeding out of the packages?
Yeah.
So
and
there's
dripping down onto the floor.
even the deep freezer. Was there like you had to clean that shit
yeah,
out?
Dude. Yeah, I was spraying out the freezer the next day. And that night, we didn't even get inside until 3. And I was up until 5 or 6 cleaning the refrigerators. And
How many trash bags full of food? I mean, dude.
probably 10
Oh my God.
full. And so I didn't get to bed till 5 or 6. And then
Was your wife helping her? No.
so she was in bed with Jack. Yeah, they went to sleep.
Yeah.
She was like,
This is on you.
good night, which was fine. And then I had a meeting the next morning at 9.
Oh. Truly a train wreck scenario. And
Complete. But I will say this, think about it. What an amazing situation to occur like that. The locksmith showed up and I'm like, sorry, bro, I don't need you anymore.
did you have to pay him?
No, they had to keep the deposit, obviously. And then I tipped him $40 because he drove an hour. I was like, look, bro, I mean, I don't need you to break into the house because I got the garage door open. At the same time, it's a miracle that the electric company came and you were my only hope before that miracle occurred. So I want to make sure that you guys are handled. You know what I mean?
I'm sure he didn't
Keep
care.
the deposit. Here's $40. And he was like, dude. He's like, thank you so much, man, for
taking care of me.
Taking care of me. He literally said, for keeping the peace.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Like there's about to be war.
There's about to be a problem up this bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Well, that is a pretty good reason to land in the doghouse right there.
Oh, dude, the doghouse.
The doghouse. Out
I think
back.
I'm still in it.
It says Ben H on the doghouse.
Yeah,
right
yeah.
next to Bailey's house.
She's being nice to me now, but
Do you think when you got back in the car and you told her everything that had happened, and she's looking at you probably with the "you got to be fucking kidding me" eyes, when you got back out,
right.
As soon as you shut the door, that stupid motherfucker.
Yeah.
That dumb motherfucker.
Oh, I'm sure.
She is just muttering under her breath, I fucking hate you.
Yeah, it may not have been when I left. I may have been there for that.
For part of that. Well, I'm glad you got in your house, but and I don't celebrate your pain, but that truly is just what the fuck could go wrong.
Life is full of pain and suffering, dude. Look at the result, though. An incredible result.
Yeah, a guy that really came out of his way.
Talk about heroes.
Hero.
You want to be a hero? That's how you be a hero.
To your customers.
Talk about value.
To your customers.
That's putting everything first. And I'll be honest with you. My business is incredibly consuming. And I put it first. I mean, I put my family first.
Of course.
But for me, in my life, my personal life, my business comes first.
Right.
And everything else comes second. And I have a very single track mind, dude. Straight up.
I get it.
You know what I'm saying?
You said it. You're not the best at multitasking.
I'm horrible at
it. You do it pretty good, though. Ultimately, you
yeah,
get
I do
it
a pretty good job. I'm a deep diver.
You do.
You know
when
what I'm
you
saying?
start to focus on something, you go down the wormhole,
Right.
and you focus. I get it.
Exactly. So apologies to my beautiful, wonderful, loving wife, son, and dog.
Hey, everyone's safe?
But it worked.
Did you go shopping again? Did you try to start replenishing?
That's all happening.
It's an ongoing process.
That's an ongoing process.
Yes. There are some things that will just never get back.
That's right.
Thanks for listening to the ManFUzed Podcast. You can find us Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Support the show. You can check out our ManFUzed Gear. Check that out at manfused.com. We are now available to receive text, or you can leave us a voice message at 770-744-5227.